Okay, so welcome to the Editor's Pick interview series. My name is Masato Sato, and I'm the editor of Language Awareness. This is a series of interviews with the authors of papers that I chose. In every issue, I pick a theoretically compelling, methodologically rigorous, and pedagogically useful paper. And for the volume 34, issue 2, which is the second issue of 2023, I chose a study by Dr. Mats Deutschmann and his collaborators. The article is entitled, "It Ain't What You Say, It's the Way You Say It, Adapting the Matched Guise Technique to Raise Awareness of Accentedness Stereotyping Effects Among Swedish Pre-Service Teachers." Welcome, Mats. Thank you for your time and thank you for being here.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
So I'd like to introduce Mats first. Professor Deutschmann is a professor of English at Örebro University, Sweden. He is also a guest professor at the University of Seychelles. He has a diverse multidisciplinary research focus, which includes sociolinguistics, the status of minority languages in post-colonial educational contexts, and learning designs with special focus on digital humanities. He recently completed 2 projects which have approached the challenge of finding ways to increase sociolinguistic awareness of issues related to language and stereotyping. He is currently embarking on a new project with focus on language supportive pedagogy in second language medium of instruction context in sub-Saharan Africa. So I have a few questions for you for your very interesting study. The first one would be to ask you about the general topic of the study that you conducted with your colleagues.
Yeah, the general topic, what was the aim was really to raise awareness about language stereotyping and bias in professions that were people-oriented, particularly teacher trainees. We were interested in that. What we wanted to do was to get away from I mean, most courses will have, small courses on sociolinguistics and language stereotyping, and it's very easy for teacher trainees to point fingers and say that oh, those people are prejudiced and what have you. But we wanted to tap in on the idea that we're all sort of part of these structures, and raise awareness of that, so that there would be possibilities for real change, because I think without self-reflection we're not going to have any change, and being aware of the fact that one is not immune. So that was the sort of ambition and the context of these projects, I would say. Yeah.
So the participants were pre-service Swedish teachers, and
Yes.
I'm wondering how this topic would play out to general society in Sweden or anywhere else in the
Yeah,
world.
well, I mean, what we investigated really was how the same speech, if you like, produced by somebody with a typically Swedish accent was judged in comparison with exactly the same recording, where we had manipulated a few vowel sounds to make it sound like an immigrant speaking. So it was the same recording, but we manipulated a few vowel sounds. Now, when it comes to the general population, of course, Sweden, like many other places, has got, well, how should I put it, problems with integration. And this is obviously an extremely important part of school, trying to sort of get around that and create an environment where kids are accepted for what they are. And I think if you talk about the general aspects here, we wanted to show how what essentially is the same language output can get judged so differently just based on pronunciation, and how important those signals are in reality, and teachers, of course, are players in all of this, I guess. Yeah.
So I'm aware that there's tons of research on stereotyping, reverse linguistic stereotyping, but your study is unique because you try to change or raise awareness of pre-service teachers.
Yeah.
And can you explain the main findings of what happened in this intervention?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you're quite right. I mean, we weren't really so interested in highlighting that there is stereotyping going on, because as you point out, that's been done, and it's being done all over the place. I mean, our point was rather to show the group then that they were also part of this problem, if you like. Our results showed that pre-service teachers, and this has been repeated in group after group, tend to overestimate the language performance of the manipulated recording, that is the recording that they thought was produced by an immigrant. So when they were asked to judge things like grammar, vocabulary, structure, fluency, and what have you, in that particular recording, then they invariably gave higher results than in the purely Swedish version. Now, this obviously led to a lot of discussions on how the idea of being objective as a teacher, why they were overestimating and overgrading the immigrant versions, and I think very complex discussions, because it wasn't really a black and white issue. They were obviously doing it out of compassion, but at the same time, it highlighted the problem of measuring the same thing with different measurement sticks, if you like, and the problems that can lead to. Yeah, there was very interesting discussions. I wouldn't say that we came to any sort of final conclusions of right and wrong, but it certainly did raise awareness and raise the complexity of these issues with these groups of teachers, and it's very well received. It has been very, I mean, we've done this now with thousands of teachers, actually.
So what would be the application, let's say, of the finding that Swedish teachers perceived accented speeches more positively on their teaching and also for the students of those teachers?
Yeah. I think that is one of the main topics that we discussed. On the one hand, it is fair enough that obviously these teachers want to encourage their students, and when they hear somebody doing well, even though they accented, they would obviously perhaps exaggerate the quality of what's being produced, because that is how you encourage students, by telling them they're doing a good job, and that's obviously needed. At the same time, there is the other aspect that you in Sweden, we don't have this sort of system where you have like in England, where everything is marked centrally according to some sort of exam. A lot of it is continuous assessment, and if one does not have good objective measurements in this continuous assessment, then there's a danger that people lose trust in the grading system of schools, and that is a problem, of course, too. So is these two things balancing against each other that a lot of the discussions were about, and I think if any conclusions we came to was the fact that when it comes to the objective grading, actually giving a grade, that should be a teamwork to a greater extent than it is today.
Yeah.
Because teachers are not, nobody is totally objective. I mean, we have our subjective agendas, and I think this is one thing that was discussed, that we need help, we need to work in teams, we need good tools to get around these issues when it comes to the actual grading. At the same time, it's very important also that we encourage kids who do well and who are progressing, and that we show that as teachers. So yeah.
Yeah, it's such a complex issue, because it's not only about what to teach, like how they're perceived, but it's related to what is graded and what is perceived positively or negatively outside the classroom too.
Exactly, and this is also something that came up a lot in the discussions. The teachers very often are well-meaning and compassionate, but that is not necessarily the case once these students leave school. Then, of course,
Right.
they judge. They enter a different linguistic environment that is, in general, harsher. Where they do not get jobs because perhaps they don't sound like a Swede. So that's the reality. Yeah.
Absolutely. So the final question, so if a researcher is interested in doing something like this, something like similar study to yours, what would you recommend? Like what challenges have you experienced or?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the challenges have been technical, creating recordings that sound authentic and where the manipulations don't sound strange. We've been using Prat, and we've been using, to a certain extent, cut and paste techniques as well to cut in vowel sounds as well as Prat. That's been the greatest challenge. We have a homepage, I think it's in the article as well, stereotyping.se, where a lot of the methods and so on are we talk about that. And we also have a number of cases that are open access for anyone to use. So I can recommend that for sure. And, get in touch with me or some of my colleagues. We can try to help out. It's been a long journey. And I think, the technical experience is very difficult to summarize. It's been a lot of tweaking of little knobs and that sort of thing. It's not as easy as one thinks.
I
Voices
see.
are complex, put it that way.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mats, for sitting with me today, and I look forward to more research on this topic in the future.
Yeah, well, thank you, Masatoshi. Yeah,
Thank you. Bye.
yeah, bye.